Good morning, guys. So today we will be finally putting back in my transmission. The 2JZ Camaro is getting its trans back together and put all the lines in. Hopefully have it ready to drive. Probably not today because I don't have trans fluid yet. I gotta go up to Profab and get that fancy lat trans fluid, and they're like an hour and a half from here, so either order it or go up there and get it. But I also got this this here cart, which is extremely convenient. I didn't know until the first time using it just how much I really needed it. I knew I needed it, but for real. Also, Bowser decided it would be a good idea to poop in front of my shop again. He's actually done that every morning so far, so that was literally just today. Look at the size of that. Yeah, appreciate you, Bowser. So load all this stuff in and start putting the trans in this thing. AC is blaring in here. It is hot out. Can't wait to get this thing back together. Maybe hit the track this weekend or something. Something like that. Still waiting on my fire bottle to come back from Safecraft, and unfortunately that thing cost $495 to fill back up. Ooh. It's like $47 a pound. Oof. So that's a tough break, but for the cost that it saves me in rebuilding a whole car that burned to the ground, or you know, redoing a whole wiring harness or something like that, or new everything, you know, that kind of stuff that could happen with a fire, it is priceless. Actually saving me my life. Forgot about that part, but yeah, that is priceless. So waiting on that to come back. They filled it up and they should be shipping it out probably today or tomorrow, and then we can put all this stuff back together and have it out. I haven't really been in a huge rush because I know that I'm not racing this car until the fire bottle's back in. So put the trans back in today, clean up the shop. There's just a bunch of stuff around. It's a little messy in here. There's this freaking heap over here that needs to go. I'm just kidding. I'll work on it eventually. But Camaro is main priority, so put that thing back, move some of Bowser's poop that's in my way. Where's he going? Henry's out here in his house still. Been keeping them a little divided, but it's nice out here. He's got plenty of food. He loves his house that he's got over there. He's like burrowed down in. He's never really had a house on dirt, so it's pretty interesting to see that he's burrowed into the dirt. And he's got some on his shell, but he's laying out here in the sun, living it up. I've been giving him food. The grass isn't too beautiful over here, but he's roamed a couple times. So Bowser mostly just roams. Henry just kind of hangs out. Bowser is more of a roamer. Henry's never really roamed too much, so Bowser gets the yard, and I'll keep making Henry's area a little bigger as we go. He poops about 15 times a day, about that size, so pretty insane. So I saw this funnel holder somebody had online, and it basically was just mounted on the wall like this, but I decided to mount mine on a 5-gallon pail. It kind of makes it nice because you can move it around, fill it up, clean them out, let them drain back into the pail. Super cool. I mean, that's a really simple shop tool right there. And even if I get a lift, I can put like a larger opening up here and drain from the car into it. But I don't really have a great way to drain the 5-gallon, but just in this configuration, it's gonna take a really long time to fill up with just, you know, funnels and like the little bit of excess. So probably got a long time before I have to worry about draining it, but super simple. Just a little bit of PVC. Some of this I had just laying around, some of it I had to use, I had to go get, but I think it's like $10 into all of this. So really nice and simple. Keep my funnels organized, and I can put them off into the corner, out of the way. But I really do like that. And then they always have a spot that they end up being in. So very simple, very cool little deal. Maybe I'll spray paint it black to really blend it in, but for right now, that'll do it for holding the funnels. Never had a good spot for them. So little tech tip that I stole from somebody and kind of improved on. Also, I just got this guy the other day. It is a remove before flight pin that I'm gonna use on my parachute. Got it from a friend. I'll just leave it at that because this was on a missile. Yeah, a US missile, and it did not go back in after the plane took off. So that means the missile was used. So we'll just leave it at that. Got it from a buddy, and it's gonna now be my parachute pin. So really pretty cool piece that's going on the Camaro. Also, a viewer sent in some spark plugs here for my Camaro. Even included a picture of his dogs. That's always appreciated. His name is Cody Page. He knew I was going to TX2K. He sent me these a couple weeks ago. I had already gotten some, so I just left these ones here, but huge thanks to him. These plugs aren't easy to get right now around me, at least, so he sent me some of these, so big appreciate that. Thank you, Cody Page. Well, that didn't take long for the rolly cart here wagon to become a workbench as I plumb and wire everything. Trying to plumb these vents to down there. Got to wire up the dump valve with the trans brake. The way that it's set up in this car is the second you touch the button, the trans brake is active and the dump valve is open all at the same time. So all at the same time right off the button. And then the second I let go, obviously the dump valve closes, the trans brake opens. This is the trans brake right here. Basically just goes in, locks, holds you, and then that motion right there. So just got to rewire this up and then put it all back together. I have the old wiring harness, so I at least know what I'm doing, but unfortunately this was done with like Deutsch connectors, and I don't actually have any Deutsch connectors. So yeah, we're gonna have to figure out that. Nor do I have the tools to wire up a Deutsch connector. So I don't know, we'll see. I gotta lay back under the car and see how it was fully wired. This is the temp sensor. And then we'll be back in business. All right, trans is ready to go in. This is the part that I have definitely been dreading. I have that little scissor lift deal that does not hold the trans very well. And I have to put the converter on before I pop it in fully, but this is the part that's really gonna suck. Getting it actually mated to the motor. It used to be a lot easier when the car was LS, the motor would tilt. So you kind of got a little bit of movement in the motor, but now the motor is super solid and the car doesn't even go high enough to just squeeze it under there. So I have to go under there, put it up on the scissor thing, strap it down, and then crank it up high enough to where I can put it in. And then I also have to put the converter on. Wait until last minute to put that on because it's heavy. So that's the part that's gonna be really fun. Try to get this thing into there. Unfortunately, the car just does not go high enough on these jack stands. These jack stands are pretty tall already. They're not, I mean, that one's pretty maxed out, yeah. Yep, that's about all we get from it, so yeah. Time to lay on the floor, start working. Got my rocket light pointing at everything. All right, wish me luck, guys. Probably won't film most of this because it's not exactly an elegant thing. I kind of will be fumbling around for a while. Probably get up and down about 172 times. Buy a lift before you buy a race car. So when doing stuff like this, I highly recommend ratchet straps. They are freaking great for stuff like this. Like right now, you can see it is starting to get this transmission off the ground enough to where I can slide the transmission jack underneath it. So I'm just gonna try to lift it up enough with the jack to kind of balance it, tighten the straps up a bunch, and then move the jack and put the transmission jack underneath it, throw a strap around the transmission jack so it can't fall off, and go from there. That's how I'm going right now. Well, the transmission in. The transmission is in, man. Laying on my back for a while like that, the blood really rushed out to the back of my head there. I can feel it. But the transmission is in. Couple of positives here. I didn't die. That's a big plus. Did not crush me. I still have all my fingers from this sketchy Pittsburgh trans jack deal, scissor jack. That's super sketchy, and you use an impact to make it go up and down, and it goes down really aggressively even if nothing's on it, and it goes up super aggressively as well. It's a mess, but it worked. Trans is in. I just have to bolt down the converter, put the drive shaft in, put the dipstick on, and put the 2 trans lines back on, but took me a good bit to get that down. To get that up. Man, I don't know why I can't speak right now. Probably because 3 hours of fighting with a transmission to go in. But that's it for now. I am going to go take a shower and take Bronte out to dinner because I am sick of working on the car after just simply wiring and putting in a transmission. If I wasn't working on the ground, I wouldn't lose momentum so quickly, but that's a big check mark off the list right there. Go get some fluid in the morning and have this thing ready to go by maybe this weekend. Hopefully that freaking fire bottle comes, but I'll see you guys in the morning. So I am trying to make this dipstick fit. This dipstick tube fit, and it takes a little bit of bending, which we knew. You know, every chassis is different, so you got to tweak it a little bit. And I decided to drill this little glory hole right here, so you can kind of put it in there and bend it down the way that is needed to allow me to bend this into the right spot, because I don't have a little tube bender, so this little hole is gonna have to do its job. But now I have it there in case I ever need it for something else, you know, bending little tube. I'm gonna try to get this thing to fit. It's not easy to fit a, you know, off the shelf dipstick tube into a car that has very little off the shelf parts. Well, unfortunately, I was bending this as much as I could, trying to make it work, but it just will not work in my setup. I tried. This is the one that ATF wanted me to run. I was trying. So going back to the old faithful one here that does have double locking, locks up here, locks down here. Does not bolt to the trans like this one that holds the bottom one in. This one, it has a through bolt and then you screw it in on the inside. So I have to drop the trans pan for that, which is kind of a pain in the butt. But it shouldn't be too bad. I can drop it without affecting anything, but this is the one we're going with, and it is stupid long. So basically, I don't know where it's gonna end up right now. It might go on the other side of the motor, on the intake side instead of the exhaust side, but this is the one I gotta go with. It is nice, it's black, it's AN line looking stuff, and it's nice, but it's gonna take a little bit of more figuring out to get it to look nicely, fit nicely, everything like that. So this is the one we're going with, and that'll be the end of that. So gotta go pull the pan. Thankfully, before I left ATF, they sent me out with a new transmission pan gasket, so I'll need that. They also sent me back with a spare trans brake and a spare solenoid for the dump valve, and then also a spare line for the dump valve setup. So got a bunch of spare parts, converter bolts. Time to lay under the car, drop the pan, put this guy in, and move on with my life. It would have been awesome to do this beforehand, but would have never known that this wouldn't fit until the trans was in the chassis. So time to put that one back on the shelf and use it for some other car someday. I'm sure this could have been made to work if I had a little bit proper tools. I do not have the proper tools. So I ended up putting the dipstick right here. This is like the best place it could reach without being too sketchy, I guess. It used to be right here, which we all know sprayed out, but this is kind of nice because it gets it off the firewall. But I mean, it is kind of surrounded by exhaust still. There's not really any way around that, because to get to the other side of the motor would take a really long dipstick, and this one's already really long. But it does lock up top, so it would have to really have a failure to get me this time. But locks up top. I just need to bolt it on the other side here, and then it'll be nice and easy to get to. Nice and easy to check and fill. And then it does keep it off the firewall, which is nice because it was really close to the firewall, so any fire immediately starts going through the firewall. This at least keeps the fire this direction on the header. I don't know. I mean, there's not much more I could do there, unless I put it somewhere like ridiculous, but this was the only real good option, honestly. With this dipstick that I had, I could always get a different one and just replace it without changing what's in the oil pan. I just would have to change it up here. So that's what we're going with for now. We can always move it if we do see a better spot at some point, but for now, this is the move. Just keep chugging away on stuff. You can see back there is the harness that's exposed. This wire was not melted, it was already terminated in the harness. So I just have to relume that. I'm gonna lume it with this this like fiberglass shielding with some rubber on it. It's like nice heat shielding, so I'm gonna try to lume as much as possible with this. And then the car should be ready to pretty much fire up. I gotta fill up the trans and bolt down the converter and put the drive shaft in and put the trans lines on. There's actually still a lot to do. So I'm gonna keep on going. This stuff is just a little time consuming because I have to go down on my back, back up, down on my back again. It's exciting, and I wear these glasses because I get stuff in my eyes when I'm under the car. I am beat up. Doesn't sound like I did a lot, but it's pretty time consuming stuff. Fuel lines are back together, back on. Transmission lines are back together, back on. Torque converter is on, tight. Drive shaft's back in, trans is in. I gotta just put fuel in the car and then we are ready to start up. Fuel and transmission fluid, and that's all I need. So should be good to go. I gotta go get transmission fluid in the morning, but other than that, we are ready to start. So that's good. Can't wait to put it back down on the ground and go drive it a little bit, make sure everything's good, make sure all the sensors are reading right after, you know, the fire, because couldn't really make sure they were all reading right until after. But other than that, everything else should be good. Everything looks fine. Wired the transmission. It sounds weird to say you wired a power glide, but there's wiring that needs to be on it. Dipstick is on. Just need to tighten that down and put the second one. Couple little things to button up, but really nothing major. So have this thing started and running tomorrow. I don't really know what fully was involved in this video, but a lot got done, a lot of forward progress on this car. Can't wait to have it back out at the track. But that'll do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it so much. That'll do it. Keep it saucy. I'll see you next time.
you.